What's up, film goers and nope. It's not the line.
Film goers and movie makers. Yeah. Back at you. Episode 11.
I guess that technically works, but what's up, filmmakers and movie goers? That's the line I started using last week, and that's, I think, what's going to stick for a little while.
Yeah, I like it. Sounds good.
Yeah, this is episode 11 of the Easy Podcast. Thanks for listening, and today we're going to talk about the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and what did you see?
Origin,
YouTube's
original Origin.
Yeah, but first, let's kind of talk about what we've been doing. Eric, what have you been working on? You've been doing anything? Holidays are over for Thanksgiving, but Christmas is right around the corner. What you got doing?
Yeah, I took
what you got doing?
What
you got going on? Yeah, nope.
So anyway, I took kind of a family break from YouTube stuff.
A break from your family?
No, a break from YouTube.
Oh,
and I try to get out, 2 or 3 videos a week.
I thought you were going to say I try to get out of the house 2 or 3 times a week.
That too. But the family was in town, and I definitely prioritized that time.
That's good.
And didn't sit and edit stuff and produce anything. So I did have some stuff that I had previously recorded, and so I sat down and edited. It was an interview with John DiStefano.
Okay.
And he does a DIY channel called You Do It, and has a really cool video that blew up about crown molding, and where he installs crown molding about 3 inches lower than the ceiling and then puts this LED strip light in it. And what this app can control. It looks really cool.
So he's like ambient lighting in his ceiling, basically?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
And then uses the Philips Hue lights, the recessed lights, so he can, it's cool. I'll show you the picture. And so I finally edited that. That interview was probably a half hour long.
Cool.
But I cut it down into 2 segments, and I released the first segment, which is kind of like the takeaways from Vid Summit. And got that done, which was cool.
Yeah.
And posted. What else did I do other than watching Origin? Watched.
So the Grinch, right?
Watched the Grinch. Yep.
Yep.
It was good. Liked it. The animation in it. I mean, Illumination does amazing.
Yeah,
work.
I think their art style is really cool.
And I mean, they didn't deviate from the storyline. The storyline's pretty.
Yeah, they didn't reinvent the wheel.
No. Enjoyed it. And I mean, there was some, character interaction, and the dialogue was great. It was entertaining. I do have to confess that I almost fell asleep in the middle of it.
Well, I mean, you've seen the Jim Carrey version. You've seen the original version. Yeah, it's hard to not just understand where the story's already going.
Yeah, and it was tough. It was shortly after dinner time. I brought my daughter and her friend, and they almost, it's, you're sitting in the dark theater with the recliner seats.
It's kind of cold.
And it was about in the middle, and I found myself finding like, dude, I do not want to fall asleep. And it wasn't about, I want to fall asleep in this movie.
Yeah.
And because that never happens. Like, I go to a movie, I'm all in. Because I'm like eating up. Part of it is the filmmaker side of me is like, okay, how did they do this?
Right.
And how are they solving these problems, and what's their approach, and this type of thing, and the technical aspects. I went in and I already had that food coma.
Yeah, right.
That didn't help.
Right. Yeah. Thanksgiving leftovers.
Yeah. But it was a great spin on a timeless tale.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you just said about like technical side of it, the filmmaker side of it when we're watching movies. And I'm constantly picking apart movies as we're watching them. And I think I just realized that I don't do that as much with animated movies, because like the world is their oyster in animated. A camera can literally do whatever you want it to do.
Yeah.
And it's always perfect every time.
Yeah.
The animation might need tweaking, but the camera movement itself is always going to be there because it's just ones and zeros.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't break down movies like animated movies so much as I do everything else. So that might make it a little easier for me to have a little sleepy time
because it's CGI. But some of the camera movements in the Grinch were amazing. Some of the way that the fly-ins and the fly-outs and the way that was used, and just we talked a little bit about that single shot. I mean, you're cheating because it's CGI, but
Right.
it was just, it just feels nice.
Yeah, it's the long single take is like it's a nice warm blanket next to the fire, and it's snowing outside, and you have a nice coffee in your hand.
Yeah.
I love the single take, animated or not. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So yeah, I didn't do much this week.
No.
Not even Red Dead. I didn't play much of it.
Wow. What were you doing?
Busy with just work stuff, which is just kind of, I don't want to say mundane, but just stuff that like takes time, but isn't super interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot of just post-production work. The place that we work for, has an Alexa skill, and we had to do kind of a promo commercial for it and update it. We'd shot one a few months back for another event, but we had to shoot 2 new scenes for it and update them. They were Christmas related, so we shot those last week, and then I had to edit them all in and color them and make the motion graphics for the end title and all that stuff. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of super interesting stuff to talk about. And
well, it might be interesting to some.
Yeah, I mean,
production's I always find it fascinating because my approach to production is every situation is a unique problem, right, to solve.
Yeah.
And what tools do you have at your disposal to solve that problem? And what different creative people approach that and how they approach it. And so when I go into something like that, I'm always eager to learn from the crew around me.
Yeah, it was kind of a unique project because the whole thing was shot in an f2 on a 24 millimeter. Every single shot, and that brings in a lot of like issues when you start. I mean, obviously we had Indy, so we were able to to stop down in front of the lens, but I guess technically in front of the sensor. In this case, it was an FS5, but yeah, it was interesting to try and because you still have to light at an f2. You can't just put it at an f2 and then use everything around you, because we had to still light the Alexa unit, the Echo, and then also the actors coming in had to all be the same level of intensity. So you got window light and everything. At an f2, everything is so bright,
right?
Especially when we were shooting in daylight. But yeah, it's difficult to light things proportionately at an f2. I mean, you got to match everything to get it in the same area, of the dynamic range, and then get it all to work. So yeah, I mean, I'll put up some stills probably on the Instagram account. Not doing a whole lot else, not even playing a whole lot of Red Dead. Christmas time is very busy where we work, so I'm starting to put in late nighters and stuff like that. But
okay, I have a question for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is totally out of the blue, but do you ever get these moments where you get inspired or prompted to do something specific, or an idea hits you where you're like, oh, I need to write that down. Like, I need to come back and revisit that. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, I think I have pages and pages in my notes app of just like random stuff that I'll hear a song and I'll think, oh, this idea is cool for that song, knowing I'll never be able to use that song just because of copyright, but I can find another song that I can license or have somebody else score that can go along with it to get that same feeling and vibe. And then,
or you could do a fan video for that song. That's how you can get away with it.
I guess that's true. Yeah. I'd like to do an episode on copyright someday. I think it would be great to talk about because I am trained in that. I've been taught, copyright law and everything.
Fair use.
And Creative Commons and everything like that, and how stuff isn't really as fair use and Creative Commons as a lot of people think.
Right.
Just like one little tidbit is when you upload a cover of a song to YouTube, it's technically illegal, but it's really up to the discretion of the copyright owner of the song whether or not they'll pull it, because covers don't actually fall under the Creative Commons or fair use law because it's not a parody. Weird Al got away with a lot of it because he parodied songs. Parodies fall under a completely different law. But covers, for the most part, it would just be like bad PR for, Sony Music or Warner Brothers Music or whoever, Columbia, not Columbia, that's a studio. Who am I thinking of?
Columbia
Capitol.
Records.
Columbia Records. Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
But yeah, it would just be bad like PR for them to just start like bringing the band hammer down on covers, covers.
Yeah.
And then also you're kind of advertising for the original song when you're doing a cover.
Yeah.
So I think the issue now in where a lot of that, like the ruling on that is going to probably change soon is because YouTube is so prevalent with covers and people are monetizing those.
Yeah.
The issue comes now where like Sony or whoever is going to have to come by and find those covers and then say, no, you can't, like this is a licensed song. You can keep the video, but you can no longer monetize it.
Or they'll allow the monetization, but the copyright claimant gets the proceeds.
Yes.
Because that's a lot of because they don't want, they're like, hey, if this video blows up and it's making money, that's great, but that money comes to us,
right?
Not to you.
Yeah. So I think it's a pretty common misconception to think that, I can just cover a song and we can use it wherever we want.
Well, here's where that misconception comes from, which we just got a lesson in music copyright pretty severely because my son just signed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's a producer. He makes a lot of beats and he writes his own original material as well. And but it's interesting because there's two sides to that copyright coin when it comes to music. There's the publishing side, and then there's a performance side. So when people do covers, this is where it gets dicey, and probably why a lot of people that are doing covers are getting away with it. Is the publishing side. Actually, the person that does the cover, because they're going to have their own spin on it, they actually own that creative publishing piece.
Right.
Even though they don't own the song. So, and I may be saying that wrong, but as far as if it's the publishing side or I think it's the performance side. Because it's their version,
mm-hmm.
They own that.
They own that version.
That version.
But they don't own the song, right?
Correct. So if that version blew up, like, because you have other artists, other signed artists covering other signed artists' material.
All the time, yeah.
And so they'll get the performance piece of that because it's blowing up. But the other artist gets a percentage of it because of the publishing piece.
Right.
So that's where it gets dicey, but yeah.
I mean, there's just a lot of things to that whole process of,
mm-hmm.
Where I said illegal earlier. I didn't necessarily mean illegal, but it's just not. It's not really in your freedom to just go and cover a song and then expect to make money off of it or anything like that.
Right, like Juice WRLD, they sampled. There's not even covering the song. He for his Lucid Dream song, they sampled some of one of Sting's. And I forget what the song was. And Sting is getting all the money from that song.
Yeah,
like to the tune of millions of dollars. And Juice WRLD's like, I totally got screwed on that deal.
Yeah.
Actually,
that's your own fault.
I don't think he got screwed on that deal because that song is what really put him on the map. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
And so you rode that song to where you're at now, and now you have a very lucrative career. So count that as money well spent.
Yeah,
is in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
But
anyways, let's not make this the copyright episode, which we just kind of turned into. But let's talk about some movies we saw.
Other than The Grinch?
Another one that I saw, Christmas related, was The Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell on Netflix. I guess I can't say I saw this.
I was going to say, you saw the whole thing?
No. Turned off about halfway through.
The marketing looked really good. I think
the marketing definitely used all of the best shots in the whole movie.
Like I almost clicked it.
Yeah. I mean, it looks great. Like Kurt Russell's beard is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, his beard game is strong.
And Kurt Russell's actually pretty good in it. He's a little on the cheese side. I understand. Okay. This is another one of those things where I'm critiquing a movie that's not meant for my age demographic.
Yeah, that you saw, like, how much time did you watch?
I mean, 50%. I saw half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we shut it down.
You saw enough of it.
I saw enough to know where it was going. This movie was directed by Christopher Columbus, who directed Home Alone 1 and 2, and then also Harry Potter 1 and 2, and then better directors came in and did the rest of the Harry Potter movies. Christopher Columbus always comes across to me as like the American dad of directors, where he's always incredibly safe, and if nobody is able to tell him no or to have a better idea on set, he doesn't make good movies. Because
he's a better explorer than he is a movie maker.
I don't know about that. Christopher Columbus was a pretty bad dude.
I was searching really hard for a pun there.
Yeah, I could see your brain, the little hamster wheel was going. But yeah, I mean, Home Alone 1 is like it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is John Hughes.
Right.
And then Home Alone 2 is still a really good movie, but I was rewatching it this last week, and I watched a bunch of Christmas movies during December, but yeah, not as good as I remember. Like I think the first half of it is really kind of like, I don't know, it's a little too cookie cutter from just like repeating the first movie.
Right. Like, oh, we had so much success. Let's just do
and
Home Alone
so
1
many
redo.
callbacks to the first one, and it's really hard to watch it back to back. Just from a filmmaker and storyteller perspective. I mean, as nostalgic as it is, I love it. But yeah, there was a lot of like, gosh, man, they really did this. Like, this is a page for page copy of the first one for this moment. And I think where that movie succeeds is, I mean, it's just copying the first one again, but using the bigger house for all of the gags, all the thief stuff, and then also the toy store.
Right.
So, and I think that stuff's great, but yeah, there's so much of it where it's just kind of like, oh gosh, this is the same movie just again.
Which, how much of that is a studio saying this was a success, let's do it again, and let's milk as much, box office success out of this idea as we can.
Yeah, I should have looked into it to see like how much, because this is 92 is when the second one came out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was the studio saying, "Hey, we need that cash cow. Like Macaulay Culkin's huge right now. We need to
capitalize on it."
Yeah, I mean, because this movie was made 2 years. I mean, like, well, not even 2 years, because it was made and it was released 2 years later, which means it was made at least a year later. I mean, at the earliest, a year later.
Right.
So they jumped right on it.
Yeah.
What was I talking about before? Oh yeah, Christmas Chronicles. Mm-hmm. So the Christmas Chronicles is Christopher Columbus again. A lot of C in this. Christopher Columbus, Christmas Chronicles. And it's just, it feels like such an out of touch movie, and it's cheesy, and the child actors, I'm sure, are fine actors if they had like a director that could direct kids really well. Mm-hmm. But not everybody is Macaulay Culkin or Daniel Radcliffe or, all the Harry Potter cast. I think what happened with like Harry Potter and Home Alone is Macaulay Culkin is actually a really great kid actor.
Fantastic. Yep.
I don't think that movie's the same without him. Like, I don't think that his acting in that movie is from the director. I mean, I'm sure a lot of it is, but he sells it so well that it works so well. And the same with the Harry Potter movies is I think those kids, they just had really good casting.
Yep. Sharp, witty. I mean, it's not the same without him at all.
So Christmas Chronicles has two kid actors that just aren't at the level that I wanted them to be at.
Yeah.
And then the storyline is just, I don't know, it's hard to get through. I didn't really enjoy it at all. There's a lot of moments where it's just like, this doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, Chronicles is supposed to be a collection of stories. So,
well, I guess these are supposed to be, they're going to have a new one every year, from what I understand.
Well, kind of like we're going to have Star Wars backstories from Disney every year. Well,
yeah, but I think this movie actually made money. Although I don't know how Netflix makes money, but from what I understand, the audience reaction of the average moviegoer has actually really enjoyed this movie.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean,
yeah, that's fair, because we're coming at these movies a lot more critical than the average viewer.
Yeah.
Because we're in the industry. This is what we love to do. We not pick apart movies, but we're filmmakers at heart. So
I don't know, I might love pick apart movies.
Well, you do,
Yeah.
but but I think understanding what goes into what people don't see and having that behind the line experience is really kind of where we live in our headspace.
I think I spoke to it last episode too with Wreck-It Ralph, where I was talking about, movies have to have rules.
Yeah.
Like the world that you're in
Right.
has to have rules. And this movie, like the rules didn't make any sense. The two kid actors, they saw Santa and like immediately believed it was Santa. And then there was no like, come on, you really Santa? Like kind of.
Because how old were the kids?
I mean, well, one of them's like 16 and the other one's like 12.
Oh, yeah, they should definitely be
Right.
questioning that.
Yeah.
Like, you smell like beef and cheese. You sit on the
You're
front of
not
the lines.
Santa. All right, elf. But yeah, I think there's a scene where they go into a diner. Santa's sleigh has crashed. He's lost his hat at some point in the crash, and he lost his reindeer in the crash. And they have to go find the reindeer. He has like a little homing beacon for the reindeer. It tells them where they are. Basically, Santa's got a bunch of like Inspector Gadget stuff that's like magical. And then they go into this diner or this like restaurant and to try and see if somebody will give him a ride to the reindeer.
Because they know where the reindeer are?
Yeah, they have the tracking device.
Oh,
thing,
yeah,
right?
yeah. The GPS.
Magic reindeer GPS. And, okay, hang on.
The reindeer are chipped.
Well, that's
apparently.
I was going to say, if you have the
they got
technology,
collars?
to track the reindeer, why don't, and your magic,
Right.
why isn't there a thing where you just tell the reindeer to come back to you?
Exactly. And do you not have a chip in your hat?
Yeah.
Because you could do that too. You put an RFID chip in your hat.
So anyways, a lot of that stuff that just like really took me out of it, talking about world rules and world building, that was just kind of like, this doesn't make any sense. Like you're Santa, you could literally do anything and you can't find your hat. You don't know where your reindeer are. You can't just tell your reindeer to poof right in front of you again. You're a wizard basically. So it was like they didn't go quite far enough in the development of him being Santa Claus and the wizard, and they used magic only when it worked for the story that they wanted to tell, which is always a huge issue with me, where like you can't have your cake and eat it too. Anyways, he goes into this restaurant and he knows everybody's name because he's Santa Claus.
Right.
And he starts talking to the hostess, who like doesn't even question that he's Santa Claus, because he like pops off a couple of things from like her childhood or whatever. And so she's immediately bought in. But then he goes around the whole restaurant, like knowing people's names and like what they want for Christmas and all this stuff, in which all of their faces and their reactions are, oh my gosh, he knows, he really is. But then when he's like, anybody give us a ride? They're like, man, get out of here, you old drunk, or whatever. It was this weird switch. Yeah. It was like I don't know. I didn't like it.
Wow. That seems like a complete 180 degree.
Yeah. It's a really weird story, just because like the things you're doing and the reactions you're getting from characters, and then 2 seconds later, the other reaction you're getting doesn't match what you're doing in the moment. I don't know.
So the flow seemed disjointed.
Yeah, because the world building wasn't consistent. You can't go into a restaurant full of 50 people and then know all their names, say all their names to each other, and tell them what they want for Christmas, and then have all of those 50 people react.
Standing up in the middle of the restaurant?
Yeah, he's like walking around the restaurant.
That's weird.
It was really weird, and it didn't feel like a Christmas movie, because it felt, they're in Chicago, I guess. I don't know if they actually shot it in Chicago. Probably shot it in Vancouver. But they're supposed to be in Chicago, and it just didn't feel like, it felt so like fish out of water in a bad way.
Wow. So it sounds to me, from what you've described, that the storyline, the dialogue that supports the storyline, supposedly, in addition to the framework and the flow of the scenes in the film, didn't work together.
Yeah, no.
And that's what pulled you out of it.
Because if somebody came into a restaurant I was eating at, knew my first and last name, knew what I wanted for Christmas when I was 10, and then also knew what I wanted for Christmas this year, and then also knew one of the characters like just got out of jail a month prior, and knew that I got out of jail a month prior, I would put the baseball bat that I was threatening Santa Claus with, which by the way happens.
Oh, wow.
Down. The bartender threatens Santa Claus with a baseball bat. Santa says his name, what he wanted when he was younger, and then he just got out of jail.
And then also put him on the naughty list.
Yeah, well, he already was. But he says, oh yeah, and that car that you stole isn't going to go well with your parole officer. But the bartender guy has like no reaction to this at all. He's still like
he doesn't go, oh snap.
Exactly. There's no actual reaction that's like realistic in this movie at all.
Wow.
And so it just totally took me out of it, because I feel like that you do that in that restaurant, that whole restaurant's going to be cheering for you and helping you out, because you literally just proved that Santa is real.
Right. So I'm having a hard time putting together how disjointed this is from what you're describing. And
by the way, this is all within the first like 20 minutes.
And then the rating that the average audience is buying into it. Like how is that?
I don't know. I don't know if it's people have Christmas goggles on, maybe because Christmas movies are so nostalgic to a lot of people. But I was saying this to somebody else, and I can't remember who it was, or I probably said it better to them than I'm going to say it right now. But I feel like there hasn't been a decent Christmas movie in 20 years. Like one that plays well to nostalgia, or even just has fun. I mean, there is Elf that's less than 20 years old.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not going to disagree. I don't like Elf, but that doesn't mean that it's
15.
That doesn't mean it's a bad movie. You know, I think it just doesn't hit me right. And I think that's a lot to do with Will Ferrell. I'm not a huge Will Ferrell fan. But I think Elf is probably a classic Christmas movie, but that's 15 years old. So before that would have been The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Right.
And then before that, Home Alone, so, and then the 80s Christmas movies. So it's weird that we can't.
Well, I did. So, I see a lot of films by osmosis, right? My daughter's watching something. I'm making a sandwich, and I happen to get pulled in.
Is this where you tell us that you watch Love Actually?
No, this is not where I tell.
Because that actually is a good Christmas movie, but that's not the same kind of Christmas movie.
No, but it was the holiday calendar. And I think I mentioned it a few episodes back, because that's when she was watching it. It was a few weeks back.
Okay.
But Kat Graham, Ethan Peck, and it's a Netflix holiday movie, and it was pretty good. I mean, IMDb gave it like a 5, 8, or 6 out of 10, but let me preface why I say it's pretty good. I say it's pretty good because I look at it as it was a Netflix movie. So kind of now, obviously now Netflix is a legit studio that has backing, that is now working, making better movies, and has better actors and da 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 da.
Yeah, but wasn't this movie released this year? Initial
release was beginning of November.
Okay.
92% of Google users like this movie. So here's the thing, that to me it's kind of like an after school movie, like the after school series that it's not the best actors, it's not the highest budget, decent story. You come home from school, you don't want to dive into your homework because you're not that person. You want to unplug, and you sit down and it was an enjoyable holiday movie. As far as technical aspects and that type of thing. The acting was decent, like it was believable, like it was a good by osmosis movie.
Sure.
So we should come up with our own rating system. Like this is a by osmosis for sure.
Yeah. If it's on in the background, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you see it, turn it off. That's another rating.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your point of it's a Netflix movie. I don't know if I can totally disprove, but I'm going to try when I talk about the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Okay.
I think a lot of the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, though, is probably just the Coen brothers being amazing at everything they do.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Let's move on to that then. That's enough of the Christmas Chronicles. It's not good.
Right.
So skip the Christmas Chronicles and let's talk about what I think is probably top 10 for this year that I've seen, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Wow.
So I say 10 because I haven't labeled it. I haven't sat down and thought about it yet, but I know that,
That's going to be at the end of the year.
yeah, we'll have to do that.
We'll do the end of the year
But
top 10 list.
I know there's at least 3 movies that I've seen that are top 5, so I don't want to throw it in the top 5 yet. But this movie is not really a movie. It's 6 short films that have been written over the last 20 to 25 years by the Coen brothers. A few of them are based off of other works, and then they just kind of adapted them.
Sort of derivatives, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's 6, and it's 2 hours, 13 minutes for the whole thing, but it's presented as one movie told through somebody turning pages in a book.
Wow.
Yeah.
So kind of like
Princess Bride.
Princess Bride,
a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no Fred Savage grandpa element. It's a book on the table, and then the guy flips the pages, and then it goes in, and then it cross dissolves into the episode, or I guess short.
That's cool.
But yeah, it was a really interesting way to go about it. And the first one, let me preface this by saying, if you love like 90s not gross, 90s gritty Coen brothers, this movie, I don't even know what to call this thing. This thing is for you. It's a downer. Almost every story is a downer. And it's gruesome in a lot of ways, very much like Fargo or Blood Simple, which is their first big one. And, but then there's also it's Coen brothers. So there's a little bit of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou thrown in there too. Basically this stars just a mountain slide of big actors. There's so many people in this movie. Tim Blake Nelson, Liam Neeson, Brendan Gleeson, who is Domhnall Gleeson's father. Domhnall Gleeson is General Hux from the new Star Wars movies. Domhnall's also been in Ex Machina and just a bunch of stuff. And then James Franco's in this.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and Tom Waits. And Tom Waits is his episode or short, whatever you want to call it.
Tom Waits, the singer?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. His episode or short is probably, I think it was probably my favorite one.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's 6 of these, and each one tells a totally different story of the Old West, and none of them are connected at all except for just the book that's being turned pages. But this is all done by the same cinematographer, but each episode has a very, very unique look to it, which I loved. I thought it was really great. And it helped separate the stories too. That way they didn't all look the exact same. Like the last story, I guess minor spoiler, the last story all takes place in a stagecoach. The whole thing. It's just a stagecoach with 5 characters.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's really great. But it's got this really cool kind of bluish, dark, like very full moon, Hollywood blue moonlight tint to the whole thing.
Bruno Delbonnel was the
Yeah.
DP here.
The thing that I thought was interesting about it, though, was they shot it in 185:1. So basically full screen.
Wow.
Full screen 16:9. Which isn't, I don't think that's super common for the Coen brothers. Usually they're 235.
Yeah. That's I wonder what the idea was there, because it's the end screen is going to be a 16:9 perhaps.
Yeah, because they knew it was going on Netflix. But I think what was cool though, and I noticed it probably the most in I think it was the second or third short, was that it needed to be that framing, that aspect ratio.
Uh-huh.
They used it. And that's what separates just the normal filmmaker from the masters. And,
For sure.
And the Coens know how to use a frame. They know how to set up composition.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain shots that, like, if that was in 235, you wouldn't be able to get that same mood or feeling or see both of those characters the exact same way that needed to be for the story to be told.
Yeah, a lot of newer filmmakers. This is gonna be a generality, so don't crucify me in this. But like you said, a lot of what separates the masters is proper usage of aspect ratios.
Yeah,
and some of these other filmmakers don't even realize 235 or anything beyond
270, which
270 or 6x9, 16x9, or 4x3. I mean, because they're looking at it from a consumer standpoint, and they come in and they haven't been through proper film school or even learned by the masters. Yeah, right. It's like, hey, there's a lot more. I remember sitting through, it was a talk, and I forget which director it was. That's going to bother me. But that was the whole talk was on aspect ratios and showing different clips that he had worked on and why these aspect ratios work in some scenes and why they don't in others.
Right.
And it was, Shane Hurlbut.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so it was this whole talk that Shane had done regarding, here's what your 16x9 looks like. Here's, and all the way from your experience on IMAX.
Right. Which is 4x3 basically.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, so it's the intent on where it's going is a consideration, but more on the creative side. Hey, what does this aspect ratio do for the feel of what this scene's trying to convey?
There's a really good example of this, a movie that came out, I think it was last year, it may have been 2 years now, called Ghost Story, and it's all 4x3, but it's meant to be claustrophobic feeling, so it works.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it really works for that, because you're so closed off from the sides, it almost brings in, it intentionally brings in a wall to close off the characters. So it's a really great example of using aspect ratios to help convey your story. And this movie, Ballad of Buster Scruggs, also was the Coen brothers' first digitally shot movie.
Really?
Yeah, they've shot on film for everything up until this point. Side note to that, Roger Deakins shot Hail Caesar with the Coen brothers, and that was on film. And that was like the movie where Roger Deakins finally said he's just tired of shooting on film. There's just too many issues of getting stock and too many issues of stuff getting
more expensive. Reshoots and
So he finally got to the point where he was kind of over it. And Deakins can say that. He's allowed to say that. He's probably one of the only cinematographers that can say no to film and me not feel bad about it. But I thought this movie, I keep calling it a movie. I don't really know what else to call it. I guess the collection of short films it's so good.
And here's, I was just reading up on it, and they use a 27 millimeter lens on the majority of the shots.
27 millimeter. Wow, that's interesting.
And those are decisions too. This is a filmmaking podcast, and we talk about films. And
wait, that's what we're doing here?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
But those are also decisions that the director, the filmmaker is making as far as what lenses am I going to use for the different scenes to capture that moment. You have the types of shots, but lenses is a thing, like picking the right lens.
Well, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Sensors are kind of a film stock, but then now your lenses are a film stock too, with different coatings and no coating and filters and no filters and focal length and all that. But 27 millimeter, that's really cool. That's funny to think of because Coen brothers love their wide shots.
Yeah.
And this movie, knowing now that it's almost exclusively 27 millimeter, that makes a lot of sense. So there's a lot of like really wide, like they're like 2 feet away from the main character, but you can still see quite a bit around them. It doesn't quite distort it, but it brings you into that world, which I think that may have been something they decided to do to kind of offset the lack of 235, because Westerns are usually just these big old CinemaScope.
Oh, yeah.
Epic Sergio Leone and...
sure, these massive landscape,
So I think probably shooting wider while having...
big sky.
The 185 probably helped still convey that Western feel. It feels like a Western, for sure. So the first one is with Tim Blake Nelson playing the titular character, Buster Scruggs, and then it goes into 5 more shorts after that. But this one, the first one, and then there's another one with Tom Waits, who I think is probably going to win some Golden Globe or, what's the TV one? Emmy?
Yep.
I think he'll probably win.
Canyon.
Yeah, he'll win something for this because he is just awesome in it. He's so good. And the color in his episode is awesome. And again, going back to that, they're just each little vignette or, novella, whatever you want to call them, is so unique to each other. There's another one with Liam Neeson that's like super dark. And, yeah, I mean, don't go into this movie expecting like a happy, like Raising Arizona or Oh Brother Where Art Thou. Like this is dark Coen Brothers, and I loved it because it feels like I haven't seen dark Coen in a long, long time. And they have such a unique like perspective and voice in all of their writing and directing that it was cool to see 6 different projects by them that I don't think would have worked if you just took one and made an entire 2-hour movie. But anyways, I really loved it. All Gold Canyon is awesome, and that's the one with Tom Waits. And then also the other one is
Meal Ticket, the Liam
Neeson's Meal Ticket. That wasn't my favorite one though. The Gal Who Got Rattled is, I think that's my favorite one. So I said Tom Waits' one was my favorite, but The Gal That Got Rattled is great.
That's your new favorite.
It's my new favorite. That's another Elf reference.
It is another Elf reference.
If you can count how many Elf references we have in this episode, tweet at us, and then we'll see about getting you a free AMC movie ticket.
That's right. Or Cinemark if you're closer to a Cinemark. Wherever you're close
Regal.
to.
Yeah, just let us know
or
your
Harkins.
area.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're happy to hook you up.
Yeah.
Interesting that Carter Burwell, who conducted the score for this film that is an American Western, was recorded at Abbey Road Studios in London.
Well, nothing's more American than a European country doing something for a Western.
Absolutely.
I mean, talking about spaghetti Westerns, I mean, they were called that for a reason. They were all filmed in Italy.
Right.
By Italian directors.
Yep.
And, I mean, this was all filmed in New Mexico from what I understand. But yeah, interesting. Abbey Road Studios. And, man, yeah, check this out. I don't really want to talk much more about like the story or anything because I feel like each one is so unique. I don't want to spoil anything, but really check it out.
I'm inspired to go sit down and watch it.
I think it's brisk because you kind of like one's done. You're like, maybe you're not feeling one. Just wait, another 10 minutes and the next one's up. There were 2 more than others that I didn't really dig as much, but they were still great just from like a visual standpoint and even writing. I mean, the Coen Brothers writing, they're probably one of my favorite writers working right now. Them and Aaron Sorkin, I think, are just solid in everything they do. But yeah, check it out. It's on Netflix. They did a small theatrical release, but I don't think it's out anymore. Especially by the time you guys are hearing this, I doubt it will be. But yeah, check it out. Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Not very Christmassy, definitely a downer. So you're warned there. And
well, sometimes there is the downer, depressive side of the holidays that some people enjoy.
Yeah,
sadistically.
Right, yeah.
But it's an exciting time to be a filmmaker, and I think about because there's some. We talked about the High Jolly short, which we're still kind of milling over the direction that we're going to take with that. We haven't even really started writing it. It's more kind of an idea phase right now. But there is a feature that I have that I'm eager to get down on paper. But the exciting time that we're in, I mean, you have more studios with Netflix, with Amazon, with Google and YouTube, and I mean, there's just this influx of non-traditional studios that are coming on, and they're producing great material. I mean, and this is an example of that. Now, obviously, you're pulling in people that have amazing skills and talents, right, and that have been cultivating those talents and mastering their craft for many years. And hence, I just started watching Origin which is a YouTube originals.
Yeah. Can we step back for a second real quick?
Sure.
I do like that there's more options for filmmakers now, but as a viewer, there's too much.
You think so?
I think there's too much TV right now. And that's a phrase that I mean where like there could be one good show that I have to see before I die on every streaming platform. Like I saw a preview for some show that I've never even heard of on a channel, or not even a channel. I don't think it's an app or something called Epix. I've never even heard of this thing, but the show looked great. But I'm like, I don't own that. I don't subscribe to that app. I'm not going to pay $10 a month to subscribe to it because I'm already paying for 4 other streaming platforms.
Right.
You know, I don't know. As a viewer, I would just be overwhelmed. And it doesn't surprise me why so many people why so many people just go back and watch The Office again, or go back and watch Parks and Rec
what
again.
Works? What did I
because it takes a lot of effort and a lot of kind of frankly money to go in and discover. Now I think if you're not getting your work on, you know, I would say the 3 big ones, which would be 4, I'll throw 4 in there. Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, and YouTube. If you're not getting on one of those, you're most likely just not going to have an audience.
Right.
And I think that's a bummer. From a viewer standpoint, filmmakers, like, that's awesome. It's great. They're getting their work out there. They're creating content and they're creating films, and, you know, they're scratching that itch. But at the same time, like, if I am releasing that stuff, I want people to see it.
Right.
And releasing a full-length TV show that looks great on an app that I've never heard of, I'm never going to check that out. Yeah. There's too much TV. There's too many things on too many different areas that I have to go and search for. I mean, if I'm sure somebody has like a database online of like every production company or every distribution company, I guess I should say, that has streaming, that's like only streaming. Because then you're not even getting into, I'm not even talking about like NBC. Right. You know, like the main big guys.
Right. Fox, ABC, NBC.
And then those guys,
CBS,
they all have 5 other channels. And then now they all have 3 streaming platforms.
And we haven't even talked about HBO or Showtime, or which is, you know, or,
sorry, I guess I should say,
which are kind of the older, you know, 10,
but there's the other thing
ago.
too, is you have those, which I only have HBO. Yeah. So I don't have Stars, which has a show on it that I think looks fantastic called Outlanders, based off the book. Yep. But I'm never going to get to watch that because I don't subscribe to that. I can't, you know, frankly, I can't afford to have. I ditched cable for a reason. Right. It costs $200 a month. Right. Now I'm going to be spending $10 here on this app, $10 here on this app, $10 here, and then my
now you're back to $100.
Now I'm back to I should just get cable again.
Right. Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense to me. But there's too much TV. I think for a viewer, it's just overwhelming in a lot of ways.
It is overwhelming, and I think well here's a hack. I'm going to give you a hack.
Oh boy,
real quick.
Here we go. You heard it here.
So Stars, like a couple episodes back, we talked about Lesson Zero. I could not find Lesson Zero anywhere except on Stars through Amazon. Now I didn't want to pay $10 for a monthly. But you can sign up for like a 14-day free trial. So that's what I did. I signed up for a 14-day free trial. And here's another part. So warning, it's very difficult to dig into where to unsubscribe. Oh. So make sure there's plenty of YouTube videos
make sure
to show
you find
you how
it
to
the first day.
Yeah.
That way you know where to go.
But that's what I signed up, got my 14-day free trial, watched Lesson Zero, and then canceled it immediately after that. And it's still, actually, I think it's 30 days because then I got to watch
you saw the rest of the time, right?
I got to, I could see Stars up until...
I did that with Shudder.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to watch Halloween and nobody else had it around Halloween time.
Yeah. So that's a simple hack, but I totally agree. It's so, I'm like, who wants to pay another $10 a month so that I can add Stars to my Prime? If I'm on Prime and you have and this is where I think it's going. I think those 4, the top that you mentioned, Disney kind of wants to creep in there, but I'm like, well, Disney's still a traditional studio, so I'm going to leave it out. For the non-traditionals, I think we're going to see where they're going to start gobbling up. Like I see in the future where Amazon buys Stars.
Well, I mean, Amazon can buy whatever they want.
They buy HBO. They buy all of these up, and then your Prime Your Prime account's going to go up. You're going to be paying $200 a year.
Well, I'm already paying $120.
Right. But it's like I'm okay with that. I would be okay with paying $200 a year if I'm getting all of these other things included.
Sure.
That I would probably take advantage of.
Yeah, because it's $200 a year.
Yeah.
Whereas cable is $200 a month.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's a broken system.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to the point where the traditional studios are trying too late to get in on the streaming thing, and then pulling those like ABC All or CBS All Access with the Star Trek show. Like I did what you did. I paid for the trial or not paid for it. I signed up for the trial, watched all the Star Trek episodes, canceled it. Right. And I will do it again whenever the next season comes out, binge it, and then cancel it. Because I don't need that any other time. I just need it for that season
right there.
Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is that these studios that have been around and they've lollygagged getting into the streaming service and kind of brushed it off for way too long, or now they're going to be forced to start selling off properties.
Yeah. Well, that's what Fox is doing. Fox,
yeah, right.
I forgot what the outlet was that I read it on. But Fox is entertaining offers for their regional sports, the Fox Sports.
Oh, see, so they weren't originally going to do that, but now they're thinking about dumping them.
They're entertaining offers right now from other places.
Yeah, they saw how much they made from Disney acquiring them. They're like, let's just...
Yeah, but then what are they going to do? I mean...
Nothing. Fox will be gone.
They'll just be a name somewhere.
They'll be 20th Century Fox, a Disney company.
Right.
Yeah. I mean...
Just like Marvel.
Yeah.
Just like Star Wars.
Anyways, back to what you were saying, because you were talking about YouTube and this show. What's it called?
Origin.
Was this a pay? Like you had to pay YouTube Plus or Red or whatever it's called?
Well,
now?
Okay. So YouTube just announced earlier this week that all the original. I'm like
originals.
On the YouTube originals.
Yeah.
That were on Premiere that you had to pay is now free.
All of them.
All of them.
Oh wow!
So I was like, okay, I haven't really.
Does it have ads in it though?
It didn't.
Little pop-ups or
no? There wasn't.
Interesting.
Not that I recall.
Huh. Okay.
Of course, I do have ad blocker on my computer.
Another hack for you.
Yeah, there's another hack. Run your ad blocker, and you won't see as many ads.
It's true.
And then Forbes won't let you read their articles, but
that's just Forbes. What do you need them for?
But so yeah, I mean, I was intrigued. I was a little. I'll be 100% transparent here. We were up against it. I hadn't really saw anything other than the Grinch, and I was like, what do I have really to talk about? There's always stuff to talk about in filmmaking, but I thought, hey, okay, I'm in the YouTube space. Let's check out and they're pushing Origin right now.
Every time I go to YouTube, I see an ad for it.
You'll see ads all over the place for it, and
I'll probably see a dozen more now that we've said Origin 5 times.
Right.
My phone is recording it.
Natalia Tena, T-E-N-A. Apologize, Natalia, for pronouncing that wrong. Tom Felton, a.k.a.
Draco
Malfoy
from Harry Potter.
Sen Mitsuji, Nora Arnett. I'm going to totally butcher that.
Can somebody please make a compilation of all the times that Eric has ruined somebody's name?
Yeah, sorry.
People. Yeah. There's people in this movie, show, whatever.
Yeah.
What's the show about?
So the show it's very much like
spoiler free.
Okay.
Give the log line.
The log line. Basically, it's a science fiction drama that was created by Mika Watkins. It's about these people that are on a spaceship. The spaceship is traveling to another planet where they're going to colonize this other planet and giving people a fresh start. Okay. Like they're paying for you to go and do this thing to help them rebuild or build this colony. And they're going to.
So you kind of like volunteered to be on this.
It was a volunteer.
But then they pay you for it.
Yeah, they cover all your expenses.
Gotcha.
They don't really get into that detail, but the big selling point is it's a fresh start.
Sure.
So it's a clean slate, and the opening episode goes into this where it's Sen's character, Shun Kenzaki, is this Japanese mafia type guy, and his brother is a cop, and so there's this juxtaposition of good and bad, and his brother is trying to help him get out of that lifestyle, and so he brings him this, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's got this very Blade Runner-esque scene backdrop, and so it's obviously futuristic. It's shot really well. The color grading on it just works. It's got kind of like this dark, grainy feel to it.
Sure.
Something happens to the ship. I mean, if you've seen Interstellar.
Yeah. Or this show is done by Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yes.
So if you are listening and you're familiar with another movie that Paul W.S. Anderson did that took place in space called Event Horizon, this sounds a lot like Event Horizon.
Yeah.
almost the exact same, but with
20 years
younger
later.
characters and 20 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And, Paul W.S. Anderson, now probably more famously known for doing all of the just terrible Resident Evil movies that have come out over the last 15, 20 years. But
Mortal Kombat.
Oh my gosh, I forgot he did that. Jeez. That's a childhood favorite though, but it's not a good movie.
Alien versus Predator.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to talk about that. But yeah, what did you think of, YouTube as like, is this keeping up with the big boys then? In quality and
so
production value?
That was probably more my intention on watching this initially is like, okay, let me see what YouTube
is this Sci-Fi Channel 15 years ago quality, or is this Netflix now quality?
I would say it's Netflix now.
That's crazy.
The quality was great, and I'm like, okay, and it was a little slow in the beginning. So we're talking about flow, right? Mm-hmm. And flow is super important to draw you into the story. I think it was the initial 15 or 20 minutes, the flow of on the ship was dragging. So YouTube, if you're listening, Paul, if you're listening, once it got past that though, I was intrigued. I was pulled into the story, and the way they do the character development is I've binge watched 2 episodes last night, and now I want to watch
keep
more.
Going. Well, I mean, that's always good.
So, because I want to know the backstory of the characters, there isn't really 2 episodes in, you get an idea of kind of what happened to the ship. Apparently everybody else is either missing or dead. And so there's some,
I've seen this before.
There's some philosophical challenges. They come across 2 people that are still alive, but they're both wounded, shot, and they apparently had one's locked in this cell, and the other one is out, and so their stories conflict, and so it was the conflict of who to help, and they're trying to assess the situation. They don't know what's going on. They just woke up from cryostasis, and so then they're thrown right into this mix and trying to decipher what's happening.
All right, I have one question. Does the Japanese mob guy run around with a katana?
No.
All right, good.
No, he doesn't.
Good.
No, it's they're guns that they have.
So he's a lightsaber.
It's futuristic, so it's lightsaber. Yeah. No, he does not. He does not run around.
I'm glad. I was worried that would be a really heavy-handed stereotype.
No,
I was expecting.
He does have the big, sleeve tattoo and back
dragon.
Yeah.
But a tiger, maybe.
No. Not quite that bad.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I guess they didn't go full hard on it.
But it's done in a way where I'm drawn in. I'm 2 episodes in, and I want to watch more.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think that's all you need now. Yeah. It's so, like, I mean, I was saying earlier, there's just so much TV, and if something is able to catch you and you want to keep investing that time in there, because honestly, because there is so much TV, there's other options that are probably better, and easier to watch. But yeah, if it gets you, awesome. Then it's storytelling. It's doing it right. I mean, I don't particularly care for Paul W.S. Anderson, but I don't know how much he really has. I mean, TV shows are so different than movies.
Yeah.
I don't know how much input he's really doing, and I'm sure somebody from YouTube is probably telling him, no, you can't do this, and yes, you can do that.
I'm sure there's some of that, and you know, he doesn't have a long list of great accolades if you look at stuff that he's worked on. But that being said, if you're a sci-fi nerd and you just love sci-fi, you're gonna enjoy Origin.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought up Blade Runner. You brought up Blade Runner earlier.
I did.
I guess there's going to be an animated TV series in that world that's going to come out next year.
Wow.
So I'm pretty excited for that.
Who's doing that?
Warner Brothers, but I don't know who's directing it, and I don't know what art studio and stuff is doing it yet. But yeah, they just announced that last week, so that'll be cool. I love that world. I mean, it's the original world,
right?
The original Blade Runner world. Anytime anybody makes another movie or TV show that looks like Blade Runner, they always say that looks like Blade Runner. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I guess you could argue Metropolis is kind of the first Blade Runner world, but Blade Runner did it to the way that everybody else recognizes.
Yeah, and they do a great job on Origin replicating that. No pun intended. And something that I did notice.
That's a Blade Runner joke.
Yes. Something that they did use really well was LED lights, the tube lights.
Oh, okay. I don't know so if they're using them in like as props, basically prop lights. I mean, like set lights.
Yeah, there's set lights, and I mean the use of it. I really caught myself paying attention to, like, oh, that's cool. So they're using it as set design,
right?
But they're also utilizing that in the shot, so it's cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool piece of gear now that I'm finding more and more productions like just straight up putting them in a shot, because they look kind of futuristic if you dress them up a little bit, and they're easy and they're nice to look at. And yeah, I'm sure people in the 60s, I mean, gosh, George Lucas would have loved to have had these lights for Star Wars,
100%.
YouTube and Netflix and everybody, there's so many streaming options and there's so many things to watch. And, Netflix, I feel like doesn't have a whole lot of quality now. They've got a little bit more quantity than quality. So I'm always interested in to find the next thing. So I'll have to check this out. I'll have to get the first episode a watch and see if I want to keep going. So that's Origin on YouTube, and it's free.
Yeah.
So check it out, guys. Let us know what you think. And if you hate it, make sure and @ Eric Thurston.
That's right. You can tweet at me. You can send me a DM. Yeah. Whatever you're at ericthurston.idon'tgivaflip.com.
Yeah, that email's sure to work. When it bounces back, don't worry. It got to us.
Right. Yeah.
Don't worry. So I think that about does it for this episode. Yeah, guys, but I think that's going to do it for this episode. We will catch you next time. And if you want to get in contact with us, got any questions or suggestions for some movies that maybe we should watch, or even some TV shows, hit us up. We are, I guess, just email us at theeasypodcastshow@gmail.com, and then hit us up on Instagram and Twitter @theeasypodcast. And then you can hit us up on YouTube, or watch these, not really watch, they're just a logo for right now. That'll change eventually. On YouTube at The Easy Podcast Show. And then I'm on Instagram at Zach Habits. And Eric?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Eric Thurston.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, but I don't really use it. So don't tweet me. I probably won't see it.
Make that your new favorite.
Twitter my new favorite? No, Instagram will always be my new favorite. Mm-hmm. So yeah, hit us up and let us know if there's another movie or a TV show or something we should be checking out.
Do not forget to tweet for your movie ticket.
Oh yeah.
You can either...
How many Elf references did we have this episode?
Yep.
Tweet at us. It has to be a tweet.
And it has to go to The Easy Podcast.
Yeah, at The Easy Podcast.
Yep.
Tweet it. Let us know. We'll get you a free movie ticket. All right, guys, that's it. We'll catch you next time. See ya.
Peace.